Hello, welcome to Get Your Mind On. I'm Lori Stohs. A normal day. Gosh, a normal day. What's a normal day? Would you just hope for a normal day someday? With so much change going on in our world today, it seems like our workplaces have to continually change and adapt to keep up with what's going on. Whether that's competition, whether that's pricing, whether that's change of employees, whether that's change of bosses, whatever it is, there's a lot of change in the workplace. So how do you look at change? And how do you as a manager think about managing change in the workplace? We know some people are excited. I was visiting with a guy this week who had just taken on a new opportunity to be in a new C-level role. And it was interesting because we were talking about his experiences and where he had been. And then he said he had two opportunities. And one was here in Omaha. He was from North Carolina, and one was in California. And we were talking about the differences of those opportunities. He goes, the reason I took the one here, even though San Francisco and it was one of the top companies, it seemed a lot sexier, was because I had the opportunity to make the change based upon where I would be in the organization. And so it was very interesting when you think about people who are out there. Some of you are rooting for change and saying, my gosh, we need to change because we got some broken things. And then some of us are sitting back going, no change, no change. I'm reluctant to change. I'm resistant to change because I don't like the change. So depending on who we are and where we are in the organization and our personalities, we all deal with change differently. But guess what? It's probably not going away. If we think about just technology in our world today and people in our world today, there's lots of things changing. So let's just talk a little bit about how we adapt to change. First, we need to let go of the past. Today is today, and even though we can relish in the memories, and you sure can, things aren't going to likely go back to where they were. You need to let go of what was and think about how do you move forward. We really think about, that whole letting go of what was. I had this manager and this manager was this and he promised me this and we used to get to do that. And so why can't I get that? You know what? Some of us have to be disappointed because we were brought on by a manager maybe or a leader who isn't with the company anymore. And maybe he did promise you that next level, or maybe he did promise you more money and promise you this and that. And he's not there anymore. Guess what? That's probably not going to change. So we have to decide what we can do about it. If it's something that you don't like, then guess what? You can change it. So really letting go of the past. 2 is accepting what is. So acceptance is a bit hard, but I think all of us can find a few things in our environment that we can accept and love. And so when we think about acceptance, I think it's different for all of us what that might be, but I think you need to accept what is and think about, is this the right fit for me? Or is this my manager? Or we have a new process, or we have a new structure, or some of us maybe have been bought out by another company and have a new acquisition. We have to accept that. That is what is for today. So really thinking about number 2, accepting things. 3, I want you to think about yourself and say, how do I respond to change? How do I respond to this? So this noise is swirling about with change, and you have to first look inside as you're thinking about the mindfulness piece. Like I said, letting go and acceptance is kind of in our heads and emotional. 3 is just really looking at yourself and saying, how do I deal with this? And really understanding for you what's best. For some of us, it's relationships. So if we've had a lot of change with people in our environment, we need to think about how can I feel comfortable connecting to the few people that I feel comfortable with, knowing I'll be safe. For some of us who have those great ideas and want to make change around ideas, we need to think about how we can know what we need to be doing in our role or who we need to be attaching to really share those ideas with and brainstorm. So I think you really need to think to yourself to say, how do you deal with change? Some of you just want to move to it quickly. Some of you need to take it in little phases, one thing at a time, and that's okay. And you just need to verbalize that and be comfortable with how you adapt to it. Next thing you need to do is set goals. So I think the other thing is, for those of us who want to know what we have control over, we need to set a goal for ourselves so we can focus on what we can do with our role. So there's all this stuff swirling about. Things are happening every day. Companies, like I said, leadership changing, management changing, structure changing, policy changing, whatever. But guess what? Your role, even though your role might change, you need to think about what are the 2 or 3 goals that I can focus on and that I have so I can stay focused and minimize the noise around you. Fifth is kind of leading to that is control what you can control. So number 1, you can control your mindset. You can control your attitude. You can control what you do every day. You can control how you respond to things. You have to decide how you're going to control those things and focus on what you can control. There's going to be things always, like I said before, technology changes, cars change, just different things in our world change. And we just have to know that that's going to change. And so we have to go, what do I feel comfortable controlling and what can I control? So I want you to think about all those pieces. And sometimes, even when you focus on those things, it's difficult. So I think it's not a bad idea also to think about getting perspective and maybe thinking about people outside your organization who maybe you can talk to, who can give you some advice or you can visit with. Because I think sometimes we're so in our moment of what we're going through, we kind of don't realize what else is going on and realizing lots of other people are going through change too. So maybe utilize some of your partners that you have in the workplaces or maybe mentors outside of your workplace to help you think about change. Because sometimes when we have conversations internally, guess what? We just get caught up in the conversation and then it goes down and spirals is because we get caught up into maybe the change we don't like versus maybe thinking about what good will come out of the change. The other thing I want you to think about is if you're a leader, sometimes we're in the change and we've been planning the change and we have to think about where we're at versus the employees. By the time we're working through change and ready to implement, we're done with it. We've been thinking about it for a long time, maybe weeks, maybe months. And sometimes they get the change and they're like having all these questions and we get frustrated because we've lived it and we're tired of it. We just want to get it done. So we have to think about, if you're the leader or manager, think about the employee's perspective. If you're an employee and an individual performer, I want you to think about the leadership perspective once in a while. It's not easy being in that seat. It's not easy having to implement change to meet shareholders' needs. It's not easy to make change to make sure we all have jobs. That's difficult. So I think the other thing is just be human and respect people and know that usually there's not a lot of bad intention going on. It's really just all of us working together to accomplish a goal. So for positive charge this week, first, are you the one leading the change or resisting the change? Second, how do you respond to change? And third, think about some of those resources that you can tap into outside the organization to help you either way, dealing with change or leading change. So change is a part of our life. Gosh, it's fall. It's beautiful fall season now. We're seeing change about us, even in the outdoors as we watch the leaves fall and the seasons change as it's fall here in Nebraska. So when we think about change, change is around us, no matter what it is, whether it's our companies changing, our workplace is changing, our boss is changing, or just day-to-day actual interaction with people and people in our lives. So think about yourself and think about how you can best adapt to change to be the most productive and engaged you can be. Thanks for joining us today, and remember to get your mind on.